Hello, I'm CJ Wellerman. Please don't forget to subscribe to our show. Now let's get into it. I'm going to introduce you to the children of Gaza. And I don't mean the thousands who've already been killed by Israel, but those who struggle for survival today. Those who desperately need our help at this very moment. Because once you understand who they are and what they hope to live for, then you'll understand the desperate need for a ceasefire and the desperate need to sweep the Zionist occupation into the dustbin of history. But that won't happen until Americans and Europeans see this conflict through the eyes of the victims, particularly child victims, and Israel is acutely aware of this, which is why it pressures Western media outlets into keeping Palestinian children hidden from view. You see, Israel is happy for Western audiences to see shock and awe footage of its missiles and bombs raining down on Gaza like this, because it not only showcases Israel's military prowess to its Arab neighbors, but also desensitizes you to the horrors taking place on the ground, where roughly 50% of the 2 million population are children. Israel doesn't want you to know that children of Gaza lead meaningful lives filled with dreams, aspirations, and hopes, like those you're about to see in this next clip, but who are sadly and tragically no longer with us.
أنا أصير دكتورة كبيرة.
إن أكون مدرس.
أصير مهندس ونعمل بلدنا.
بحلم إني أدخل الجامعة وإن عندي أيباد وأكون يوتيوبر. مثلا سيارة رونالدو. أنا بعرف ألعب كورة. راح أحط الكورة فوزي فيها.
عن جد.
والله.
Please remember their beautiful smiling faces. Remember what they hope to be, because they have been prematurely wiped from the earth by Israeli missiles and bombs that have turned Gaza into a post-apocalyptic wasteland. Israel has now dropped 1.5 times the explosive force of an atomic bomb on Gaza, which is why more than 4,000 Palestinian children have been killed during the past 4 weeks, which is 10 times as many children Russia has killed in Ukraine during the past 2 years. Please get your head around this. I mean, how can any criminal occupation force claim they're acting in self-defense, particularly when women and children constitute the lion's share of casualties?
In today's situation update, we can report that in Gaza, the Palestinian death toll over the past 17 days has reached 9,061. Women and children comprise some 62% of these victims.
It's important to understand that inside each of these homes was a family, a story, a dream, a life. But now nothing is left but ruin, suffering, and unimaginable grief. The images of mothers and fathers screaming in agony for their dead children should and must tear at our collective conscience, because the mass killing taking place in Gaza is the defining moment of our time. We are witnessing a genocide take place on live TV, with blood-soaked images sent to our screens in real time. This is what remains of the Jabalia refugee camp in Gaza, which was bombed by Israeli warplanes last week, killing more than 500 people, including hundreds of children.
جبر واحد الله واحد الله واحد الله واحد الله واحد الله واحد الله انت يا بسيبك حمد الله خلاص واحد الله واحد الله واحد الله واحد الله جبر خلاص تعال حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل هذا صديقي جبر حميد.
More than 4,000 children have been incinerated, blown apart, and buried under the rubble of their bombed-out homes by Israeli warplanes and American ammunition. Call it collective punishment, call it slaughter, call it a war crime, call it what you will, but this is a genocide, according to Jewish Holocaust survivors, United Nations officials, and even members of the Israeli government, who openly state their intent to annihilate the Palestinian population. And when you look at the list of those who have already been killed, you have to scroll 8 full pages of names before you even get to the 1-year-olds. What you're looking at now is only the names of newborn babies killed by Israel since October 8. But this mass murder won't stop until Americans and Europeans see Palestinian kids beyond media headlines and faceless statistics. Now, it would be easy for me to show you countless images of dead children, mortally wounded children, kids buried under slabs of concrete and steel, along with severed body parts and worse. But much of the world has already seen this blood and gore on social media, and yet the slaughter continues. So, instead, I want you to know the living. I want you to meet the Palestinian children who have survived the initial Israeli onslaught, but now depend on you and your actions to call for a ceasefire and stop the next wave of Zionist terror.
And like every time I just have to have the thought of me dying in a bomb in Gaza, like it's not a good thing. And like every place I go run away, and I just find bombs and I find dead people, and like maybe one day I'll end up like them, but it's a really scary thing for me.
These children have witnessed and suffered too much. They've seen their parents and siblings atomized before their own eyes. They will carry with them a lifetime of trauma and grief. I mean, how can anybody see this and not call for an immediate ceasefire? What more must it take? How many dead Palestinian children is enough? Because clearly 10,000 innocent lives snuffed out in 4 weeks doesn't sufficiently cut it for Israel and the United States. But the truth is starting to catch up. Even US President Biden told aides that the pictures of dead Palestinian children is hurting the US and Israeli governments politically.
Sources say that President Biden and his administration are all warning Israel that it has weeks, not months, to uproot Hamas from Gaza, and that every image of a dead Palestinian child is tipping public support away from its war.
This is why the Western media is censoring, editing, and manipulating its reporting to cover up and minimize Israel's crimes against humanity. In fact, Israel pays huge sums of money to Western media outlets to act as PR firms for the Israeli military to ensure audiences sympathize with its criminal occupation. But even worse, Israel is not only systematically assassinating journalists in Gaza, but also wiping out their entire families as a form of vengeance. Like when it killed Palestinian journalist Mohammed Abu Hatib last week, along with 10 of his family members, including his children, parents, nieces and nephews. Watch his best friend and fellow journalist Salman al-Bashir give this heart-wrenching interview.
توقيت فقط نحن نمضي واحدا تلو الآخر ولا أحد ينظر إلينا ولا إلى حجم الكارثة والجريمة التي نعيشها في غزة.
Ultimately, Israel is trying to convince the world that the current violence began on October 7th, and that Israel is acting in self-defense. But this is total nonsense to anybody who has even a rudimentary level understanding of history and international law. This violence began in 1948, when Israel ethnically cleansed 800,000 Palestinians to pave the way for a Jews-only state, and then again in 1967, when Israel illegally invaded, occupied and colonized the Palestinian territories. And there's no better account of this history than the Israeli terrorists and soldiers who helped create the Jewish state by murdering, dispossessing, and displacing the indigenous Palestinian population.
מדינה לוקחים עם חרב, ככה אבא שלי אמר לי. המדינה מתשווה. ודאי, הרגנו בהם, בלי נקיפת מצפון. הרגת, אז עשית דבר טוב. הייתי מוכן להרוג. לא דיברתי עם אף אחד על זה. אשתך נגיד שחיית איתה הרבה מאוד שנים, אני מניח. לא דיברת? אף פעם לא סיפרתי לה. מה, אני אספר לה שאני הייתי רוצח?
But let me finish with this. How we respond to the mass extermination of the Palestinian population will not only define the legacy of your name, your family's name, but also that of our future generations, who will inevitably ask and inquire, what did you do to stop this genocide? The same way German citizens are often asked about the actions and whereabouts of their forebears during the Nazi Holocaust. This is your opportunity to be on the right side of history, and every small effort counts. Last week I had the words, "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free," permanently tattooed on my forearm, to invite questions about the genocide from total strangers, while at the same time my daughter participates in pro-Palestinian rallies across Australia. Because we need to be speaking about Palestine and its children more than ever, I hope you will join us. Anyway, that's my time for today. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and we kindly ask you please support our effort to expose and confront injustices in the Muslim world by becoming a member of this show at patreon.com/CJ Wellerman. We can't produce, sustain and grow the show without your help, and we offer exclusive benefits to those who do. But for now, good night, good morning, wherever you are, and stay blessed.